to ABCFC. It's a brand new, well, we're bringing to you a brand new football and cricket podcast. I'm Chester. This is my friend Ben.
G'day, guys.
Yeah. And we both love football and we both love cricket. So we've decided, what the hell, rather than just constantly talk about it to ourselves, or me in particular bore my girlfriend with all that stuff she doesn't really care all too much about, why don't we actually bring it to the internet and get an audience potentially from that? So we, being with the love of the Bundesliga and the A-League and cricket alike as we do, I'm a Bayern Munich fan and a Sydney FC fan. Who do you support, Ben?
I'm a St. Pauli fan, if it's not already obvious. Second season in the Bundesliga for about 10 years or so, I think it was. So, yeah, great year so far. So, yeah, excited to be here and hope you guys enjoy the pod.
Yeah, he's also a Melbourne City fan. He might have forgotten to mention. Um, I'm also a Manchester United fan. He does support a team in England. That's West Bromwich Albion, but we don't really. We're not. We've decided, without boring you all with the details, we're not doing much Premier League coverage. I may occasionally talk about United games and stuff like that. For example, if we beat Liverpool this weekend, damn straight am I going to talk about it in our next episode. um, but other than that, unless West Brom get promoted to the Premier League, whenever that may be, then we'll probably will do Premier League coverage. But for now, we're going to keep it with Bundesliga and A-League. Every Monday, we're going to bring you a Bundesliga and an A-League review of the weekly football that's happened. And then on Thursday, we're going to do a little more casual one, or Wednesday in the case of this week, because we want to get some content to you nice and early for you patron people who may have seen that I put the channel up the other day. Of course you didn't, because I don't think we have a single subscriber yet. But hey, here's to dreaming. Yeah, we need subscribers. I'm not trying to be desperate or say we're unprofessional here, but anyway, yeah. But yeah, Thursday or Wednesday in this case is going to be a much more kind of casual thing, and we've got a great one today, which I'm going to go through in just a moment from now. And other than that, we'll do cricket content. Obviously, we're big cricket fans. The Ashes is round the corner in just over a month's time now. November 21st, of course, kicks off at Perth, that first test. We'll be doing plenty of coverage for the Ashes. Don't you worry about that. And also the Big Bash as well. And going forward, we've got stuff next year, T20 World Cup and so on. The cricket calendar is huge, as all the cricket fans know, as is the football calendar. So that just wraps up our intro on what we're about. So now, without any further ado, let's go right into our first episode. Just a bit of a casual one, like they're going to be at this stage of the week going forward. We got a great one today. So my friend Ben has many teams he follows across multiple sports, and as a result of which, he has gone to many games in the past, many different games, many different occasions, and he has compiled a list of the 5 games. Now, this is like, this is just a matter of personal opinion. He's not just picked 5 games based on the fact that they're big games or big occasions. These are 5 games he's essentially picked that he's been to that personally made him enjoy it. And the point is, it's a 5 to 1, 5 being not the worst, but the lowest in this case, and 1 obviously being the best. We're just going to break them all down and go into detail about. He's going to go into detail about how it was on the day and kind of share his experience as a fan with all of you. So why don't we just get right started, Ben? Firstly, why don't before we even start with 5, why don't you just give us a background on yourself as a sporting fan to begin
Yeah,
with, right?
absolutely, Chester. Yeah, so massive sporting fan. People that know me know that there's not a weekend that goes by that I'm usually not at some sort of live sporting event. Melbourne City member, Southeast Melbourne Phoenix member, uh, Saints member in the AFL, MCC member as well, which is great with the cricket season coming up. Anyone out there as an MCC member will know what I'm talking about. It's a real sort of privileged thing to have. So great history and tradition within the MCC. Uh, I do support the Renegades in the Big Bash. Looking forward to that coming up until probably about mid-January when we realise that we've got no hope of making finals again.
That's generous. I'm
And
a
then
Brisbane Heat fan, Ben. As
yeah,
you,
certainly do
I'm a
know that.
Brisbane
Yeah,
Heat fan. As you know, I'm usually about 3 games into the season, maybe 4. I've given up all hope on our campaign. But yeah,
yeah. Well, I mean, it's going to be a great season nonetheless, and the the One Day Cup's going on at the moment, so that the One Day is against India are coming up on I think on Sunday in Perth. That's the first game, and so cricket season's really alive and well. Um, So just I guess in terms of the top five I've compiled today, it's really just a bit of a list of some of the events that I've been to over the years. Some of them sort of more prestigious than others, but just having that real sort of privilege of being a fan in the stands and enjoying those sort of moments. And some of them have been really really good, and some not always going to plan. But we'll get into it. Number five. Uh,
Yeah, let's start right with number
yeah,
five. So yeah, by the way, disclaimer, people. Specifically, we usually have a doc. We have a doc we've made with like video ideas, and if we're preparing for a video, we'll put it specifically for this one. I did not tell Ben to put this down because I wanted to be as just like I wanted to know, not know, sorry, as much as the audience. So I have a rough idea what some of them could be, but I have no idea what the order is. So it's as much a surprise to me as it is to you guys watching at home or wherever you are watching this. So yeah. Anyway, without going on much longer, why don't you take us away? What is at number five?
so number five is one of the best, probably one of the best A-League Melbourne Derbies that I've seen. In the what are we 15 years since the two town teams, two team towns, my apologies, came into play. So it was the derby in 2021 between Melbourne City and Melbourne Victory. Almost said Melbourne Heart there. That would have been a interesting matchup. But 7-0. Um, we've covered a lot of A-League Chester between ourselves over the time that we've known each other the last couple of years. I don't really think I've seen a mauling, an obliteration quite like I saw that particular night. Um, City were having a really good year at that point, but 7-0 against the Victory side.
Melbourne, but you did miss out Melbourne Victory. I think were wooden spooners that year as well. And as a Sydney FC fan, I definitely didn't completely enjoy it because it wasn't us doing it to them. But I mean, it's still funny seeing your rivals getting absolutely tonked around the park and losing 7-0. But yeah,
It
continue.
was quite humorous, and the fact that I actually was across the road um, at the basketball watching the Phoenix, and I actually missed the first two goals of the game. So, which was quite funny in my haste to get all of about 500 meters across the road into Amy Park. But 7-0 margin certainly wasn't what I was expecting walking in on that night. But yeah, still one of the best derbies that I've been to, and there's a couple of others that certainly worthy mentions as well. Um,
I was gonna say, you probably, I mean, it probably wouldn't be in your top five, but for those A-League fans who do remember that whole infamous Melbourne derby with the flares and when it got called off, you were obviously at that game, as you told me before, weren't you,
I
Ben?
certainly was, and was there with some other mates, and um, very sort of strange circumstances. weren't quite sure what was going on, but um, I guess from a point of view of the actual on-field stuff, uh, City have obviously progressed to a title from there, and the I guess the needle in terms of dominance from them across over victory has sort of moved quite a little bit over the last couple of years. So I mean, it's been a healthy rivalry for a long time now, and with the season just about to kick off, hopefully that'll continue for the season to come. Um, so moving on to number four, as you would know, Chester, there's a great Ashes series back in 2014.
I disagree. We got beat 5-0, but yeah, continue on your definition of
Well,
the word
that's
great.
for me.
Yeah.
That was fairly great. MCG Boxing Day Test, coveted Test match in the World Cricket calendar. It was Alistair Cook making 244.
Oh no, that was 2017.
My apologies.
I was gonna say it still wasn't a great series. We still lost it 4-0. That was the only test we didn't win, and shocker, we drew it. But yeah,
Yeah,
continue.
2017. Yeah, look,
Continue to explain why, as an Australian in a series you won 4-0, the moment you enjoyed was when Alistair Cook, an Englishman, got a double hundred.
well, as I just mentioned, it's a coveted day and there's a coveted Test match in the calendar. You don't see too many double hundreds in, uh, Test cricket in, I guess, an Ashes series. I mean, not recently, but look, that was certainly something that I was really sort of
I disagree. You guys scored like two double centuries against us in that same series, but sorry, continue.
we'll agree to disagree, but um, I guess from an Australian viewpoint, and as Chester already knows, my patriotism for the Australian Test side isn't as strong as it may be in some others. Um, but you know, sitting up there in the Southern Stand that day and sort of just seeing what was basically a batting masterclass was something to really to really enjoy. Uh,
I yeah, I remember some weird things about. I wasn't at the game, but obviously I was watching the majority of it on TV, and like just hoping for something as an English fan. Any English fan would in those around that time when we were just hopeless over here, or just not looking good in general, but especially over here, and just watching your captain kind of grind it out, Chef, the legend himself. And I just remember some weird things the pundits were tweeting up on the fact that he kind of chipped off a corner of his bat where his finger was to kind of get more freedom on it. I also remember the fact that Pat Cummins was playing, but he was obviously quite sick and looked really dehydrated in that heat as well, and like was constantly coming off the field and looked like he was about to pass out half the time. And yeah, that was. I just remember some weird things about that in amongst all the glory of Alistair Cook scoring a double hundred to lead us to a fantastic draw in a series we still lost 4-0.
well, four losses and a draw is still
It's
four
exactly what we
losses.
did
Yeah,
last time
yeah.
we were here.
I mean, obviously with the Ashes series coming up, we'll get to predictions and so forth as we go along. So moving on to number three, um, and it's certainly one that I more recently it's something that I've been really lucky to witness because it's now in the record books. And for AFL fans, you'll certainly know this one once I start talking about it because it's something that was unforgettable, and that's the greatest three-quarter time comeback in VFL AFL history from my mighty Saints against Melbourne at Marvel back in
Yeah,
July.
guys, just gonna say, like, he's a massive football fan, massive cricket fan. Trust me, like, this isn't an AFL podcast because I don't have really any inherent interest in the sports, just not my cup of tea. It's not that I hate it; it's just can't get into it really. What can you do? But I know for a fact that out of all the teams he supports, Ben is probably the one he supports and follows the most would definitely be Saints, if I'm not mistaken.
No, definitely not mistaken. So definitely that moment was quite surreal. It was a Sunday, just a regular sort of mid Sunday afternoon, and uh, Saints are 40 odd points down at three-quarter time, and there's no sort of way of thinking they'll get back into the game. A lot of fans have already,
Yeah, really, really live this one up. We're getting into the top three now. Let's get some proper details going for
yeah,
these next
yeah,
three. Then,
yeah,
right?
lot of,
Go through
yeah,
it. We got time.
yeah.
Just delve into the day. Go for it.
Sounds good. So a lot of people had already left by that point. I'm in a WhatsApp group with a lot of Saints fans, and I'd already heard a lot of them. A few of them had already left for the train at Southern Cross, but decided to stick around and sort of what can we do in this last quarter? Uh,
Who were you playing
it was
again?
Melbourne,
Melbourne. Which one?
Melbourne Demons.
Oh, that
Yeah,
right.
so not North Melbourne, who we did play a couple of
Yeah.
weeks after. But kicked a couple of goals early, and sort of thought, oh, there might be a bit of life here. Just sort of look at that great term, honourable loss, um, which is sort of universal in terms of sport worldwide. But uh, it was really the last 90 seconds that sort of determined the actual result. Um,
Yeah. So here's what we want, right? It's 90 seconds.
yeah,
Just describe it all in just glorious detail. Just go for it. What happened. Give player names out. Make the Saints fans who may weirdly enough somehow find this thing, even though it's not an AFL podcast. But if they stumble across it, give them what they want. Make them
all
relive
right,
this
let's
moment.
let's put some mustard on this, shall we? So
Yeah,
ball's out on the wing. Melbourne had just kicked it out of bounds at the other end of the ground. So basically going coast to coast. Ball ends up on the wing, and for those that know Marvel, it's that city side wing. Ball comes out, bloke by the name of Mason Wood picks up the ball, kicks it into the forward 50, and the Messiah by the name of Zaya Wanganeen Millera, puts two Melbourne players on a poster, taking a specky over both of them, takes the mark, and by this point there's about 40 seconds left by the time he lines up. Now AFL players have got 30 seconds to kick the goal, so that took a little bit more time off. So he kicks the goal to draw level for the first time in that afternoon. And by that point, there's 8 seconds left in the game. And most people would be thinking, well, what can you do with 8 seconds left if there's a new centre bounce? You know, St Kilda would have to actually get the ball back and get it inside 50, and someone would have to take a mark.
I imagine at this point, you and all the other Saints fans were probably just all on your feet in like a wall of noise or something at this point,
Yeah,
surely, right?
exactly.
Like you just
Yeah,
sense that you could do
yeah.
something, one of those weird sporting moments where you all of a sudden think, forget that. Impossible doesn't exist.
hmm
Let's just make anything happen at this
Yeah,
point, right?
that's exactly right, and that's exactly what happened. I was on my feet and just sort of in a bit of disbelief, and just sort of really thinking, what the fuck's going on? You know, what's happened? And um, so the ball goes back to the middle, and this is one of the more weird parts of the game in general. And I'm not talking about the actual contest, but footy in general. So there's a rule which is called 666, and no, to our followers, it's not some sort of satanic
Like you do a
devilish
ritual on
ritual.
the pitch and like
Um,
did the club sell its soul to the devil to win that game? Is that what you've been shit ever since?
some may say, Chester, that we're actually cursed by the devil because we're on the same World Cup drought as England's men's football team, 1966. But it's not due to any satanic ritual, hopefully, or any voodoo curse. But ball goes back into the middle, and there's a 666 infringement, which basically means that you've got to have six um, in the middle in each centre clearance when the ball gets bounced back up. And Melbourne had an infringement, so they'd had a warning during the game, and following that, it's a free kick in the middle to the opposing team, which in this case was St Kilda. And here's where the chaos ensues because Melbourne basically had to reset their line before the kick could be awarded. So their ruckman's got to go back into the middle. Their wingers have got to go back on their lines. And this took about another minute to work out exactly what was happening and to get the lines reset. And by this time,
Oh, so you're basically in added time, if that's even a thing in AFL at
yeah,
this
so
point, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
whistle hadn't the time for that last 8 seconds hadn't started until the kick was awarded. So Melbourne had to get their house in order in terms of getting their players set in their previous positions to start the bounce, the new centre bounce. So by this time, St Kilda had actually organised a set play. You hear those Hail Mary plays in NFL football and so forth, set pieces in football. Um,
Oh yeah.
yep, yep.
Man United Leon last season, Europa League
Mm-hmm.
5-4, big fucking fridge head Hazard Maguire planting one in the back of their net when we were 3-1 down moments ago to win the game 5-4. Boy, do I know about
Yeah.
that sort of thrill.
So you know what I'm talking about then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So by the time the clearance and the lines get set, so the ball's back in the middle and the St Kilda ruckman Rowan Marshall, um, and this is a clip that you could play in slow motion. There's been memes across the internet, and you've probably seen some of them because I've sent them to you, Chester. But the Titanic music playing in the background with the kick coming in, so Marshall kicks it basically back to Nazaya Wanganeen Millera, and he's running back with the flight of the ball and almost does like a somersault in the Olympic gymnastics. Just give it a perfect 10 basically for dismounting for grace. So he's taken the mark, and obviously being that there were 8 seconds on the clock, the siren goes basically a second or two after he takes the mark. So he's lining up for goal to win the game from about 45 metres out, and my seat at Marvel is basically on that same wing, about 10 metres away, um, and a bit more. Um, Looking back, and so I had a really good look at the goal, really good shot, and given the fact that he'd slotted one about 40 seconds earlier from the other side of the 50, um, any score would have put us in front. So it wasn't that much of a panic station in terms of, oh, he's going to miss. He was a lovely kick, kicks the goal, and basically the crowd that were left go wild, the players go wild.
Your friends are in the chat going, "What the fuck are we?
it,
What? Like, why did we leave?"
exactly, and I'll get to a poignant moment in that in just a second as an honourable mention. But the ground announcer was actually on the ground hugging one of the players. That's how crazy it was. It was just nuts. Um, but the kicker for me, and this is one of the first honourable mentions in this group of five, was we played North Melbourne the following Sunday, and the club had organised to play a replay of the last quarter on the big screen at about 12:30 that afternoon
Oh,
before the next game, so that the fans that had left early in their haste could actually come back and watch the last quarter, even though we'd already.
can I just
Of course you
interject
can.
here? Is your club dumb? No offense to any Saints fans, but I strictly remember you telling me another story, or was it showing me a video of something? Was it like 2004 in a similar? Maybe it was a semi-final. I can't remember what it
I
was.
know I
Obviously,
know where you're going
where
with
some
this. Yeah,
dude scored like a record number of goals or something for a season, and midway through a really important game when he scored, your fans did a full-on pitch invasion when they still had a game to win, and then you go and lose the game.
yeah.
So obviously, I'm well aware that they've done this, and you obviously lost the game you're now talking about, obviously, because why do they do this? Like, can they just not wait until you've actually won something before celebrating it? Rather than going like, oh my god, look how good this amazing comeback was. We're going to show it before we've actually played a game we really need to win to make it count for something.
Um,
Or, oh my god, he's broken a record number of goals. Let's do a pitch invasion a quarter of a way into a game rather than wait until we've won the fucking game in the first place. So we don't look like idiots after like silly little idiots after, after the game if we actually somehow go on and lose. Like, could you imagine, like, I'll give you like a quick football option, like football example here as an interjection. Ronaldo just broke the record for the most number of goals in like European qualifiers from any player ever.
mhm.
Portugal did draw that game 2-2 to Hungary, but funnily enough, St Kilda fans, when Ronaldo scored that 41st goal in the middle of the game, there wasn't a pitch invasion. The fans actually were kind of restraining themselves and waiting for the team to finish playing the game. Obviously, they drew in the end, but that's the point I'm making. How silly would it have looked if they just swamped the pitch when he broke that record, and then they just don't win anyway? I mean, they're probably still going to qualify for the World Cup, but the point I'm making is show some restraint in your celebrations. Anyway, that's my rant over about sport I know very little about, apart from what you've practically shown slash told me. But yeah, anyway,
Well, you
continue.
make it. You make a good point, and I'll be happy to fill in the gaps of that moment. I wasn't there, but I certainly was watching. And this is actually going back to 2004. And when Chester says it was a really important game, it actually was. It was what they call the preliminary final. AFL fans would know what I'm talking about. It's the game that actually gets you into the grand final, right? So second most important game of the year. Guy by the,
Let's do a pitch invasion 15 minutes into a game, though. What the hell, right?
it was ridiculous. So just sort of let's make it another honourable mention. So Fraser Gehrig kicked his 100th goal in a prelim final. Saints fans knew it was probably coming in the first quarter. I think he only needed two.
Wait, it was 100th of the
Yeah,
season, if I'm not
correct.
mistaken,
That's
right?
right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's why it was. I get that's impressive from my
yeah,
limited understanding, but I mean, still,
yeah,
come
yeah.
on. But yeah,
Yeah,
continue.
yeah. So just to sort of continue on from there. So it's a big moment. There's been a lot of 100 goal kickers across the VFL, AFL over the 100 plus years. It normally
But you're first, right? And only, maybe? Or am I
No,
wrong?
so we had a guy called Tony Lockett who kicked several of them in the 80s and 90s. There's highlights of him on YouTube.
Wait, hang on. So it happened before?
Not in a final, but
Oh,
we've had players who have done it. Yeah, or a player who's done it. So this particular final was in Adelaide against Port Adelaide, and we knew that he only had to get a couple to break that 100 goal mark. And so that invasion, unfortunately for us, was always probably likely to happen. The worst part of it was we actually had momentum at that point in the game. We're up by maybe a goal or two, and Chester's absolutely right. So there was a pitch invasion. There's YouTube highlights of it, so you'll actually be able to see what happened if there's anyone who does want to have a look at it. It was quite an interesting moment. So there's Saints fans that storm the ground, and in that sort of moment,
it just makes me laugh every
as it
time
as
because
it
it's
should, yeah,
just.
in that moment it's ridiculous because that sort of that 100 goal mark Chester has had, it usually happens in season. So that's, but the running on the ground is
Doesn't
part of
matter
the
if it
course.
happens in the
Yeah,
middle of
yeah.
the season or in a final. You don't pitch invade. You don't do pitch invasions midway through a fucking game.
It's a different culture to the UK.
For football
Yeah,
fans who watch this, if AFL fans aren't, let me explain. It's like when you see a player. It's similar to like when you see a player score an obvious offside goal and run behind the pitch or the goal, or just do some wild celebration, completely oblivious to the fact that the goal's been ruled out. It looks so stupid, you can't comprehend it. Sorry, yes, continue.
yeah. So that happens. Game's delayed for probably 10 minutes or so. Game restarts. Everything's going fantastically well until the last quarter when the game's actually in the balance and Port Adelaide kick a couple of goals out of their ass and take the lead. And this is where things get interesting. So the Saints actually had an opportunity to draw level in the game, and there's another moment in that game where the ball goes inside the goal square, and a Saints player decides to toe poke it through, attempting to kick a goal, and actually slips over. Or he actually, I think from memory, he actually tries to pick the ball up. That's right. And misses. And Port Adelaide end up winning by a goal and go on to the grand final and win the next week. So they win the premiership the following week against,
It's just
yeah. So
It's just unfair. I remember when you showed me the clip the first time. I was like, when I saw the pitch invasion before you, because I don't think you told me what. Like, I thought it was like to win a game. I was like, oh yeah, fair enough. And then I remember you telling me, oh by the way, that was like 15 or so minutes into the game. I was like, wait, what are you talking about? 15 minutes into a game? What like? They think it's to use that famous like England bit of commentary when we won the World Cup in '66. Saints reference as well there, obviously. Um, they think it's all over. It is now, but 15 minutes into an AFL game, you can't really say you think
into
it's all
into
over, but it is
yeah,
now.
like I said, second biggest game of the season.
Technically,
Yeah,
it is.
and it was massive. So obviously we're trying to break that 66 drought, which is 60 years next year. By the way, not that I'm counting, but it was crazy. But that's so we're down to number two. So we're getting to the pointy end. So,
I'm just going to quickly interject one more
sure.
time when you mentioned on this before we move on. Just one more thing I have to get out there. When you mentioned the fact that like when it went down to the last quarter, and I'm just thinking there's probably a load of Saints fans in that crowd at that point, looking down on the ground, just basically being like, "Fucking hell, I really wish I hadn't done that pitch invasion at this point. It's going to look damn stupid if we lose this game."
Yeah, well, there's folklore amongst the WhatsApp group that I'm in, and there's a Saints podcast that I follow. That a player's father was actually one at the time was actually one of them that ran onto the ground. So take that for what you will, for complete dumbassery, I
You
suppose.
can't
But
see my camera right now, obviously, but I assure you, I'm literally just holding my brow, just kind of looking kind of down, just being like, what on
yeah,
earth?
what
Just
happened?
like, I
Yeah.
don't know how you deal with being a Saints fan when you hear stories like this. I mean, talk about banter.
Oh, it's
Like,
peak banter. It's absolutely peak banter, and there's you know
it must be so easy for fans of other clubs to get as Saints fans when shit like this happens with your club from
there,
time to
there,
time.
there certainly is. There most certainly is. And if I wanted to, and I'm not going to because it's going to bring back too many memories, I could do a top five of those particular type of moments just on that club alone. Um,
Maybe we will another time. Maybe we will because I reckon it could get a good few Saints fans watching the video. Not the intended audience, but audience nonetheless. So yeah, maybe we will honor your Saints fandom and your 5 games you've been to, which are the worst games you've probably ever been to as a
yeah,
Saints fan,
most most
because there's probably been more than enough to
most
make a
most
list of.
most
Yeah,
definitely. And there's some honourable mentions and so forth in there. But we're at number two.
yeah. So anyway, yeah, let's get back on
Yeah,
track now. Number
yeah.
two, what is it?
So number two would be the and it's another Saints reference. So not the ideal result, but still great to be part of history.
Yeah, I mean, you're a Saints fan. The only way you could have an ideal result in here would be if you were somehow born way back in the '60s and were only 41 today. Like, if you've broken space time continuum. in some way like that to make that somehow possible. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's the only way you'd have a good final memory as a Saints fan, isn't it? Let's be real.
Then yeah,
You could win it next year, maybe. Who
I,
knows?
I,
Um,
I'm not betting on it, but I'd love to because I'm sick of waiting. Let's put it that way.
yeah,
So 2010 grand final. Um, and this is sort of a flip side from '04, where they had a really good side the year before, barely lost a game and ended up losing on the last day. But we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about 2010. And what makes this sort of part of the top five for me is it's actually a game that's now part of sporting and AFL folklore now. And the reason why is because it was the last and one of the few drawn AFL grand finals in history. Fantastic game. As we said, Saints going for their first premiership since '66, playing Collingwood, who were a great side that year. And basically, there's some pivotal moments again in that last quarter where the Saints fans thought that they'd broken the drought. Luckily, no pitch invasions on this day, thankfully, to ruin the moment. But couple
sure.
of
The groundsman didn't pick up his like 500th piece of litter and get a massive pitch invasion 10 minutes into a game. That didn't happen.
no, nothing like that. But um, so the Saints kicked a goal through a great marking goal by a guy from the name of Brendan Goddard, who's on the Saints coaching staff today. But um, so there was still about 7 minutes left to play, and the Saints fans sort of thought, oh, this might be it. Um, and Collingwood go back to kick a goal with about 3 or so minutes left. And again, there's highlights on YouTube of exactly what happened. But ball comes down inside 50, and there's a really, as you would know, Chester, the AFL ball is not like a proper football. It does bounce in different ways. Um,
Yeah, it's like a smaller version of it's like a smaller, more elongated version of a rugby ball or something,
yeah,
isn't it? Really?
that's right. So ball comes in, bounces to one of the Saints players, Stephen Mill, and instead of bouncing just right up on its trajectory, it actually bounces sideways through for a point to level the scores. Um, and this is still with about maybe 90 seconds to a minute left, 2 minutes left. Um,
And at this point, you're remembering a couple of years ago, aren't you? At this point, you're going, "Oh my god, are we going to do it again?"
it was actually the year before. So as I said,
Oh, the year
they
before.
had
Okay,
almost an unbeatable year. They'd lost about basically 3 games for the year by a total of maybe 12 points or something crazy like that, which was more disappointing. But the game ends up in a draw, and you can hear a pin drop. It's one of the only times at the MCG that I've been to that's almost silent, um, and just not sure knowing what to do, how to feel. Um, and to put a bow on that, because I'm not going to go through talking about how I felt after that. The real niche thing that I mean, AFL fans will know what happens the week after or what used to happen. You actually go back and replay the game the following Saturday, and
you were at the replay, obviously, weren't you?
unfortunately, yes. So best way to throw $300 down the toilet.
Just a disclaimer: the game he put in number two for all the people watching is the draw, not the replay. He's just going to explain that
Yeah,
now.
asterisk, underline, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I'm definitely not talking about that replay in the top two, but the draw for that historical factor, regardless of the result.
First and only, still to this day, drawn final in AFL. Didn't you say or
No,
something?
one of the few. So North Melbourne and Collingwood in
Okay, it's happened before.
1977 was the last one prior to that, and they replayed as
Oh,
well. Yep. So
okay.
quite a long time, but now they changed the rules, so it's extra time now, which is quite funny because a lot of people still say to this day, had they gone straight to extra time, yeah, the Saints could possibly have won. They had
Lost.
one,
Oh, one.
yeah,
Sorry.
they had the one.
Yeah.
Let's just talk. Yep, they had the fresher legs, and that was the consensus among a lot of supporters. And the great thing about the MCC on grand final day is you do get neutral fans in attendance as well. I've been to a few non-Saints grand finals myself. Um, so that's number two. So
So
honorable mentions
yeah, we're gonna get into some honourable
before we get to
mentions
number
just
one.
before we reveal the big number one. So yeah, you got a couple there, haven't you?
Yeah,
What's one? What give us a few. What's one? Give us the first
yeah.
honourable
So
mention.
so the first honorable mention was a classic Melbourne derby between Melbourne Heart and Melbourne Victory.
Wait, is it the Muscat one?
No, it was the Harry
I
Kill
really wanted it to be the Muscat
masterclass.
one.
No, if it's the one I'm thinking of, that's definitely not in there. But yeah, the first one as well between the two sides at Amy Park with John Aloisi certainly is. But this particular one was a 4-0 win to Hart. Harry Kill, who'd actually played for Victory previously, was in the Hart side and ended up scoring against his former club. Also got
What season was that again? It was hard, so it would have been at least a decade ago
yeah,
or more. But
I
yeah,
think it was their
I
last
seem to
at the
remember.
20. I want to say 2012 was their last season from memory.
Was it when Aloisi was your man? No, it can't be when Aloisi was
No, I
crap
think
then.
I
That
think John
surely
Van
was.
Schip was back.
Yeah, probably him, most likely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Harry Kill scored against his old side, Orlando Engelar, a name that A-League fans
Oh,
would
that's the
remember.
season it was. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
that
So
tells me
that
now. That's the
yeah.
season it was. Yeah.
And a guy by the name of David Williams, who's actually still on the roster at Perth Glory, is
Oh
a
yeah, of
one of
course
the
he
A-League
is.
journey one of the A-League journeymen who's suiting up for the Glory on the weekend in their opening game. So
I'm not sure if he's actually
possibly,
playing for them. On Wikipedia, like he was in the squad, but he didn't have a
yeah,
number. So I don't know what's going on. But he's still
possibly,
their
yeah,
vice captain, which is weird. Like
yeah,
I don't understand what's going on
yeah.
there.
So he may make an appearance, but yeah, 4-0 win just because Hart weren't expected to do much at that point, and it was actually in their last season before they formed to become City. So no one was sort of too sure as to what was happening with the club, but look, it was a fantastic night out. One of the other honourable mentions was the 2009 preliminary final between St Kilda and the Dogs at the MCG. Um,
See, more Saint stuff. He's got three in there in
purely,
one
purely just down
almost.
again to the last 90 seconds where it was a Nick Revolt, who was the captain of the club, toe poke to put the Saints in front and win the game. Um, Also by the fact that I think I was standing to the back of the Southern stand in front of one of the corporate boxes because I couldn't bear watch the remainder of the game because of the tension. That's just you
Yeah.
know just unbelievable, just epic. It was one of those sort of out of body experiences that you have as a sports fan where something like that happens and just total euphoria. But also keeping on with that Saints Bulldogs connection, there was a previous comeback of 55 points in 2015 that the Saints ended up winning as well. So I'm just going to pop that in there as the last honourable mention because that was also,
Just before, yeah,
yeah,
just so those your honourable mentions, and before we do get on to number one, because you haven't mentioned it yet, I was just wondering, any Storm games spring to mind? Because he is a Storm fan as well, to my
yeah. There,
audience
there,
listening.
there's one. So it was Storm versus St George. It was actually at the MCG as well in 2000. Uh, so the Storm ended up winning quite convincingly. I think it was 70 points to nil or
What?
thereabouts,
What?
or
I mean, I'm not
64,
a
70
rugby
points
fan.
to
That
nil.
I'm not really a rugby fan, but
Any
that
any
still sounds
NRL
big to
fans
me.
who want to jump into the comments and correct me if need be, but it was the only game they ever played at the MCG. They did play a few at quite a few at Marvel, Colonial, whatever you want to call it, back in the day. But they did play that at the MCG and wiped the floor with St George that year. Um, but also I did go to the 2006 grand final against the Broncos, which they lost. But we won't
It's not an honourable mention. You're just getting this one in there, basically, aren't you?
basically just for the fact that I can say I've been to an
We
NRL
might
grand
go
final.
into yeah, we might go into more detail about this one for your audience because we're probably thinking about doing a flip side to this video some point down the line where he does the worst games he's ever been to, and that one could make an appearance in
More
there. Because
than
imagine
likely.
travelling all the way up to
More than
Sydney
likely.
and watching your
More,
team lose in a final.
yeah, yeah.
Was it a big score as
I
well?
don't I
I don't know
don't
if you
think so.
told me
I
or
think
not.
it was similar to the game the other week, so maybe a try
No,
or so in
okay.
it. Um, but just being there was a different experience, I suppose, to AFL grand finals, of which I've been to quite a few. But getting on to number one, yeah,
Yeah. So
New
drum
Rolling
roll,
Road.
please. I don't know if the mic's gonna hear it. I mean, it probably will. Obviously, 'cause I'm talking, you can hear me. Yes. Number one.
Uh, the Cricket World Cup men's 50 over final of 2015.
Oh, awful game. Yeah, hasn't even
So
defend.
Australia versus
I know they beat New
Australia
Zealand,
versus
but
New
awful
Zealand.
game.
It was Daniel Vittoria's last ODI game and someone I respect quite a lot as a former spin bowler at junior and sort of teenage level. Um, shout out to the clubs that battered me at number 10 or 11 and
I
hardly
love
ever
the way
bowled
you're
me.
describing this as if you actually were like really like it's gonna make people think that you were like close to making it into like state level cricket or something
No,
like that.
never.
Let's just be real.
No,
Yeah.
no, never. Barely club level. And I did boycott one day on a Saturday, basically because I wasn't, you know, getting an opportunity, and just decided I've got better things to do with my Saturday than turn up and stand in the field for
In true professional
yeah
cricketer style.
for an afternoon. So 12 or 13-year-old junior can take my spot. I don't care, and that's a story that I'm happy to regale.
Maybe Vittori did that when he was a similar age. We don't know, so the comparisons could still be true.
Who knows? I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's that level of.
If you're watching Daniel Vittori, which would be remarkable, let us know in the comments.
I'm sure there's still room, in sport for some of that semi-professionalism. You do see it in baseball and other codes, but um, look, this is really a simple one for me for number one. It packed out the G. Amazing crowd, amazing event to be at. Um, it's not very often that the World Cup is hosted in Australia. It's been a few times. I think '92 was the last one. Pakistan against some other team that
England,
didn't win.
some other team,
Yeah,
England.
England.
Yeah,
I thought I'd let you
we
fill in the
lost
gap
that
there. Yeah,
final.
but look, that was a fantastic Pakistan side on that day, and I think most teams would have struggled to beat them. But I also just will mention the fact, Chester, in that World Cup of '92, you actually were beaten by Zimbabwe in Albury as well. Um,
Yeah, I
but
mean,
we're here to
I
talk
wasn't
about
born then. I
2015.
was
Yeah,
born the year up.
yeah.
I was born the year after.
Mm,
I mean, you obviously must have maybe watched it. I guess you probably would have been around 9 or 10,
yeah,
wouldn't you,
yeah,
around that time?
yeah.
Maybe.
But
I can't do the math, but yeah.
getting back to 2015, look, it was a massive crowd. Great day for cricket. The Australians ended up on top, but the twist of that particular tale is something as I was going through my research was um, the man of the match was a guy that's been out of cricket for quite a while, and there's a
I'm
really
trying to remember who it
interesting
was.
backstory. Well, I can tell you who it was. It was James Faulkner.
James Faulkner was the man of the
Mm,
match in that
yeah.
final.
And he
Wow,
actually runs a pub down in Hobart now. So he's completely he's no longer.
hated him as an English
Yeah,
fan. He used to piss me right off,
he was a
as a
great all
lot of
rounder.
Australian players do.
One of
But
those
yeah,
great all rounders that we had. Ian Harvey was another one of them. Um, there's quite a few that I can sort of think of, but yeah, so he was man of the match. I think he took a four for not many in that game, but look, it was a real sort of honour to be there, and I actually remember sitting in the I think it was the Olympic stand, and there was an amazing sunset over the back of the southern stand, and I actually took a photo of it, which I wish I still had, but um, just a terrific occasion. Um, Certainly, whether it's football or cricket World Cups, I certainly try and get involved and watch as many of the games as I can. Um, and it was just really something that was a privilege to be a part of. I've been to, as Chester would know, different Boxing Day Test matches over the years, and my grandfather was also an MCC member, and I went to plenty of great games with him over the years and one days and what have you. But it was really just something to really be a part of, and hence it's why it's the number one pick for mine.
yeah, good. I mean, yeah, I mean, good pick, I guess, because it's obviously like a big game, big occasion. In that case, your country's won a World Cup. I actually have my own memory about that game because I got into cricket only a couple of years prior, mainly around the time when we won the Ashes in England in 2013. And I remember going to the Star because I was living in Sydney at the time, so I remember going with some of my mates to the Star City Casino to watch that game on like the big screen in the sports bar that they had there. Awful game of cricket from my opinion. Like I really like that New Zealand side, as you know, and now the rest of the audience who watch this, so all 10 people, if that, are gonna know. Well, later down the line, it could be really big and successful this video, but anyway, I'm gonna stop putting our channel down. Our channel's good. Watch us, guys.
Like and
But
subscribe,
yeah,
guys. Like
I
and
love
subscribe.
yeah, yeah. I'm gonna. But yeah, I really like that New Zealand side. I thought they were such an attacking, exciting team. Obviously, Brendan McCullum, good old Baz, England's saviour. Brisbane Heat's legend, RCB's legend as well. Like he played a long time for us as well in the IPL. I just love him, followed him everywhere in terms of teams. That's why I picked Brisbane Heat. Pretty much Lynn and McCullum, the Bash brothers. Why I picked RCB, AB de Villiers, Virat Kohli, Brendan McCullum. You know, I just love that team. And you had like Vittoria, I loved as well. Also Brisbane Heat ties in there. Luke Ronke was such a good, like, I mean, he was coming to the end of his career then, but again, another really exciting player. Tim Salvey, Trent Bolt. Trent Bolt was on fire that World Cup.
Yeah,
They just had such an enjoyable team to
they had a
watch.
fantastic team.
Guptill,
Yeah,
Martin Guptill, that double hundred at Wellington against West Indies earlier in the tournament. I mean, you as a Renegades fan has a differing opinion, I imagine, on
yeah,
Guptill, but
yeah.
as you've told me many times.
Well, we do
But
have.
anyway,
Well,
yeah,
I was just going to say from a Renegades Kiwis perspective, we do have Tim Seifert, who's
yeah,
knows
that's
how to
true.
find the boundaries. So that's going to be for our Big Bash preview as the weeks go on,
Yeah,
which we're also looking
but
forward
yeah,
to.
anyway, yeah. So anyway, as I was saying, but yeah, so I remember going to the Star City to watch that game, and like New Zealand have been really good. Obviously, those who remember, they beat Australia. It was really narrow, but it was a really low scoring game in the group stage, and really exciting because it was like down to the wire. They bowled Australia out for 150 odd, and they literally got their 9 wickets down, like just by the skin of their teeth to beat them. New Zealand did. So I thought, oh, you know what? Fair enough. Maybe New Zealand are going to win this. That'd be amazing if like Australia get beaten in their own backyard in a final, especially by New Zealand. It would have been better if it was by us, but we were god awful in that World Cup, so we'll just stop the England chat about that now. But yeah, I remember being like, yeah, come on, New Zealand, you got to win. I love this New Zealand team, second favourite team at the time behind England, of course. Like, and then I just remember the game was the most boring, one-sided Australian victory I could possibly ever recall. Skittled them for like 180. New Zealand didn't even look like they were going to lay a glove. McCullum got out in the first over, I think, just caught behind or something. It was, can't remember. It might have been Stark who probably bowled him, who got him. Sorry. And then they chased it down like 3 down. Michael Clark got like 80 odd. It was just a complete opposite of what I thought the game was going to be based off their previous encounter in that tournament. New Zealand just looked completely flat. Australia just rolled over them. It was just such a boring, boring game of cricket as an England fan. The only upside of which is I watched it at Star City, and for those of you who are watching who have been to the Star in Sydney, fuck me, the food's good there. The Cobb salad, oh, amazing. That's the upside to it, basically. But yeah, that was my recollection of a boring game of cricket that just ruined what could have been a good final. Um,
So
yeah,
you heard it here first. Try the if the star still exists, doesn't it? Or am I imagining things?
no, no, still
Okay,
this. They just changed their name to the Star.
right.
It used to
So
be Star City, and
so
now it's just Star. The
so
Star.
for
Yeah.
Sydney siders who happen to be watching the pod, try the Cobb salad at the Star in
Yeah,
Sydney.
you heard it
Yeah.
first. If it's still in the menu and if they haven't changed it, because I can't. That was back in 2015. This is 10 years later. I haven't a fucking clue at all if they've
No,
changed it or if it's even still on the menu.
Cobb
So
Cobb salad.
don't completely. Just take my word for it. Back in 2015 and 2016 and 2017, the years I went there a few times to watch games, like United games and stuff with other United fans, friends of mine, the food and the Cobb salad in particular was good. Haven't been there probably since 2017, 2018, so I couldn't tell you what it's like after that. I can only hope for those of you who take my word for it that it is still top level and it hasn't completely just fallen off a cliff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in terms of that, is it as good as the crepe station in the basement of the MCC members?
I can't
That,
say you
yep.
have to cover
Well,
that one.
that's I'm more than happy to say that's the highlight for mine. It's one of the things of visiting there. I don't enter the reserve quite often as Chester. You already know that from my set of
Yeah,
musings. I'm only in there.
just for
Yeah.
crepes. When he has a fixing for a couple of crepes, that's when he uses his ticket. Forget games, forget events, live music, and all sorts of other stuff they host there. It's literally just
Well,
the
I do,
crepes, and then he's off.
I do try and I have to tie it in with events because that's the only time that I'll use it. But if there's, the Big Bash, Stars home derby coming up in January, um,
You'll be
I'll
there
be
for the
there for the
crepes.
crepes.
Yeah.
Exactly right. So that's the top five. Certainly some great moments in there, and looking forward to sort of flipping the tape over for some of the moments in the future, that are have not been so memorable. So that'll be a great
Yeah,
discussion.
trust me. We could probably do two separate videos, one for just overall games and a separate one just for Saints games, and we probably will, because otherwise there's probably going to be four Saints games in there anyway. So I think we'll probably do separate like non-Saints games, top bottom five, and then a separate one for Saints, which we could possibly even get a full bottom 10 out for you if you want, because he's had that many bad experiences as a Saints fan, I reckon, as going to games. And next week we're going to do my so disclaimer, I haven't been to as many sporting games live as Ben has. I've been to a handful of Sydney games. I've been to a Sydney W League final against Perth when Sam Kerr was still playing for Perth as well, mind you, when we won 4-2 against them. Can't remember what year it was, but yeah, that was at Leichhardt. I've been to Allianz a few times for a couple of Sydney games, a couple of times been up to Blue Tongue. That's pretty much about it as far as my A-League experience goes. And then other than that, I've been to Old Trafford to watch United play against Bolton. The reason I'm saying this is because there's such a limited amount of games I've been to live. It's no point making a top five or bottom five in terms of live games I've watched because the list essentially makes itself. It's that small. So what we're actually going to do instead is I'm a massive United fan, and because we're doing Bundesliga, A-League, and cricket primarily content primarily on this channel, I thought it would be a great opportunity for me to share my true United fandom, and it's just going to be exclusive. Not five, 10 match list coming next week of the best ever United games I've watched, not at the stadium, but just on TV. I know it's not as amazing as live, and I can't recount the atmosphere, but trust me, I'm a massive United fan. I can recount a lot about the games and a lot of why they were so good, right?
Yeah,
And trust me, those of you who know about United and those of you who are United fans like me, don't worry. I'm definitely going to do a bottom 10 at some point, and they probably will, in all fairness, all come from the last 5 to 7 or 8 years, or at least since Sir Alex Ferguson left and stepped down as our manager back in 2013. All the bottom 10 are probably going to become in that last decade to 12 years, and most of the bottom five are probably going to come in the last 3 to 4 or 2 years, even. So just stay tuned for that. Yeah, I will just put a quick one here now in case anyone was wondering in terms of cricket fan. Just to, if you were ever wondering what my favourite ever cricketing game was as an England fan that I've watched, not live because I haven't ever seen us play live, but on TV, it's just got to be that Pakistan game when Harry Brook got a triple century and Joe Root got his highest score 262. Like you can't like I've watched most of that game because like the game time zone difference in Pakistan and Australia is not terrible. So when we go to Pakistan, England, it's kind of easy to watch those games. And yeah, that was remarkable. I don't think I've ever seen a cricket game like that. Score 800 plus after the opposition bat first bottom 500 plus, and then you still win the game before the very end, like with 2 sessions or whatever, more than 2 sessions on the final day to spare. Just like true England of this current era. Just remarkableness. Yeah, I'm not. I'll try not to call it Baswell too much on this channel, although when we start getting into Ashes content, I probably won't be able to help myself because obviously McCullum himself has said that he never coined the phrase himself. It was just something the media gave. But I'll try my best, Baz. But can't make any promises because I might just get too into it and calling it Basball when we start ripping up the Aussies this summer. Um,
we'll see. But
yeah,
yeah, I mean, so it's going to be a fantastic series and something that we'll cover more in the next couple of weeks.
live streams.
Yeah,
We're gonna try.
do
We're gonna work out some
yeah,
way.
we're going to try and do a watch along for a couple of days as well, which will be great. Um,
Yeah, we'll work out the logistics how it's gonna work, but we'll figure something out for you guys. Ben's actually going to. I unfortunately couldn't get tickets because his class is sold out. But with his with the beauty of his MCT membership, is it the Saturday? I think day
it,
two of the
it,
MCT test you're going to. Is
it,
that
it
right?
is. I did think about going on the Sunday, but yeah, the Saturday day two is going to be fantastic. And look, I think it's fantastic for the city. Obviously with the Barmy Army and the English fans travelling, they I still
Oh, I just get this feeling like we're going to be there in full volume this time. It feels like there's more confidence than the last few times that they're just coming in their numbers like, you know what, we believe we can win this. We're going to show up and we're going to put pressure on those Aussies from day one of the first test. So yeah,
yeah
I'm probably going to be completely wrong, and all these other England fans and ex-players and pundits and whatnot are going to be completely wrong. We're probably going to lose 4-5-0 again. But for now, let's at least revel in the fact that we believe there's a chance we're going to win this series.
Yeah, well,
It's
it's
like telling me there's a
zero
chance.
zero zero, right? So exactly, there's a chance, but it's going to be a terrific series, and you know, as I said, the cricket season, the international summer's starting on Sunday, which against India, which is going to be great. Any other thoughts, Chester?
I was
To
just gonna
cover?
say, yeah, we're about ready to wrap up now. I was just gonna say, this was our first episode. We'll be on proper schedule next week, so that's Monday. We're coming to you with episode starting next week. Every Monday is going to be a Bundesliga and A-League season review, or at least one if there's like if the number one's not playing. But mostly it's going to be the case that they're both playing. And until we get to the winter break, obviously for the Bundesliga, then it'll just be primarily A-League content and anything else we can chuck in there to not make the videos too short, of course, because we don't want to give you 20, 30-minute videos. We want to give you something substantial as an audience, of course. So yeah, so that'll be Monday, and then Thursday. This is the type of episode you'll normally be getting Thursday. We've just pushed it back a day to Wednesday just to get some content out nice and early for you, but it will be on the Thursday schedule from next week onwards, the same pretty much. So yeah, just look out for that with the channel ABCFC. I'll put the YouTube up. We've got the Instagram. You'll see if you go, you'll see it's on our channel essentially, and I'll put the links in the description that we got the Instagram out. We will eventually be on Spotify. When that is, I don't know. We don't
Yeah.
know. The distribution thing just depends. When we can get that one sorted out, then obviously we will get Spotify. But you guys will know well in advance when that's happening, because I'm sure we'll be posting about it well in advance when we know or have an inkling that's
Watch this
happening.
space.
So yeah, huh?
I said, watch this space.
Yeah, watch this space exactly. Yeah. So yeah, basically that's the sum up of it. So we're about ready to wrap it. We'll be back on Monday. We've got an A-League first week of the A-League review of the week's action will be coming up. We've got big games to start the A-League campaign. Bundesliga review will be coupled with that as well. We've got massive games in the Bundesliga this week. My team Bayern taking on second place Dortmund in the good old Der Klassiker.
That's right.
Should be a
That'll be
massive game.
massive.
We're
Yeah.
looking to continue that 100% start to the season we've had in all competitions. Dortmund looking to try and close that gap on us early doors, or we can, push further ahead of them. And your team, St. Pauli, playing Hoffenheim in a less massive game, but
Still
I mean,
important
you
for.
guys have fallen off a bit
We
after
have a
your
little
good
bit.
start,
Yeah.
so yeah,
I mean, it's going to be you know good to get back on the winners list. It's been a few sort of lean weeks, but look, every opponent's tough for a team that's trying to survive for the second straight
yeah,
season. So it's going to be fantastic. You know, thank you guys for watching. If you've enjoyed it, you know, drop us a like and even a comment. Um,
and to
and like
subscribe.
and subscribe exactly. And we'll see you on Monday for the A League and Bundesliga review.
Hope you're ready. A lot of content to cover there. 6 A-League games, 8 Bundesliga games. A lot of content coming out for you guys there. Sorry, 9 Bundesliga games. Oh man, 18 teams in the league, not 16. Yeah. Um. Yeah. So yeah, we'll see you guys on Monday, and we'll be back. If you're just into more of these random episodes, that's coming back next Thursday, where we're most likely going to be doing my list of games. So look forward to that. But if you're down for the football content, that's coming right back at you on Monday, and we might even mention of the England and Australia cricket games, because that are going to be happening over the course of the weekend. We've got our first one day against New Zealand. Australia start their white ball series against India, so we'll probably touch on that a tiny bit as well.
Absolutely. Good to
Yeah,
see you, Chester. And guys,
you too,
we'll see you on
Ben.
Monday.
Yeah, see you guys. Peace out. Take care. See ya.